After creating one of the most popular television shows of all time, one man challenged himself to turn a dream into a reality. A TV series made in the image of the two things that networks hated the most, anthologies and science fiction. A personal four-letter word salute to everyone who told him it would never work. Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and this is the history of Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap is a live-action television series that aired 97 episodes over 5 seasons from March of 1989 to May of 1995. It's like Highway to Heaven, but it's like Highway to Heaven, but it's like Highway to Heaven. In the future, Dr. Sam Beckett has developed a plausible means of time travel called the Quantum Leap program. No surprise, Time magazine called Beckett the next Einstein. He's got 6 doctorates, but quantum physics is his specialty. His Quantum Leap program is highly advanced and highly expensive. Based on the string theory of particle physics and quantum gravity, the program would theoretically allow an individual to travel through time within their own lifetime, aided by a highly advanced artificially intelligent computer called Ziggy. On the verge of losing the billions of dollars of government funding needed to keep the project alive, Sam initiates the first leap with himself as the test subject. But the project wasn't ready, and the results were both unpredictable and unavoidable. Scientific method aside, thankfully, it worked. Sam Beckett's mind was thrown back in time into the body of an Air Force test pilot in 1956, his reflection no longer his own, and his memory of both his previous life and the one he now inhabits, a fuzzy, clouded, incoherent mess of names, numbers, and images. Lucky for Sam, he is aided by his partner in the Quantum Leap project, a cigar-smoking, foul-mouthed, womanizing U.S. Navy Rear Admiral named Al, who appears to Sam, and only Sam, as a hologram broadcast through his brain from the future. Working in conjunction with Ziggy and the rest of the team, Al can provide Sam with relevant data and advice to help him figure out how to accomplish small tasks like flying a supersonic jet, or big tasks like getting back home to the future. Because in the end, that's Sam's ultimate goal: find a way home. Until then, it seems as though a larger force may be at work. Maybe God, maybe fate, maybe time itself, pushing Sam where he needs to be in order to give people a second chance to put things right that once went wrong, to make the world a better place in the hope that his next stop will be his last quantum leap. Thank you to Secret Galaxy for sponsoring this video. Hey, that's us! And thank you to everyone who already supports us here as channel members on YouTube and as members of our Patreon at patreon.com/toygalaxy. For the last year, in addition to our regular videos, we've been producing member-exclusive videos that have allowed us a wider range of freedom from the YouTube algorithm. For as little as $1 per month, you can get access to all of the member-exclusive videos we've already produced. To be clear, these are just as comprehensive, informative, and entertaining as our regular videos, with topics like New Coke, Rob Liefeld's Youngblood, Columbia House Kool-Aid Man, and Godzilla '98, many of which were voted on by members. If you're looking for something more tangible than a channel membership, head over to the Secret Galaxy merch shop at secretgalaxy.shop. Prints, pins, shirts, action figures, all in stock and ready to ship, personally fulfilled by me. To become a member for $1 a month, click the join button below this video or head over to patreon.com/toygalaxy, where there are several different tiers to address your specific Secret Galaxy needs. Once again, we appreciate all the support you've given us over the years with views, likes, and comments. Now, back to the show. Donald P. Belisario was born in Cokeburg, Pennsylvania in 1935. He served in the U.S. Marines from 1955 to 1959, where he just happened to cross paths with a young man named Lee Harvey Oswald. As Belisario told the story, Oswald was reading a copy of the communist Russian newspaper Pravda. For Belisario, this was an act he found so offensive that he got into a fight with Oswald, perhaps a moment that, if it had gone slightly differently, may have resulted in a different future. In 1961, after he served his country in uniform, Belisario got a bachelor's degree in journalism from Pennsylvania State. He spent a few years as a copywriter in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, several more as a creative director in Dallas, Texas, before realizing his destiny was in Hollywood, California. Between 1977 and 1980, his writing credits included TV shows like Big Hawaii, Kojak, Switch, Baba Black Sheep aka Black Sheep Squadron, Stone, Quincy, and Battlestar Galactica, shows that were either created by, developed by, produced by, or directed by two of the most prolific and influential television creators of the 60s, 70s, 80s, Stephen J. Cannell and Glenn A. Larson, no relation to each other, or to me. It was Belisario whom Larson tasked with developing a new detective series set in Hawaii. The initial script, written by Larson, was, according to Belisario, not the best script he'd ever read. Belisario reinvented the entire concept, keeping only the barest elements of Private Detective, Hawaii, and Tom Selleck. He combined it with his own idea for a series built around three friends who met in Vietnam and were finding a way to live their new lives after the war. Magnum P.I. aired 162 episodes over 8 seasons between 1980 and 1988. When it ended, Belisario had directed a handful of episodes, written dozens more, created 2 more television shows, Tales of the Gold Monkey for ABC in 1982 and Airwolf for CBS in 1984, and made a feature film called Last Rites in 1988. Belisario was ready for something different. Last Rites was a much heavier project than the television shows he was known for. As he put it, quote, "The film was very dark in tone and had a dark, downer ending to it, and so I decided that for my next project, I wanted to do something up that I could have fun with. I knew I didn't want to do what had been done before, which was primarily straight action-adventure stuff." On the other hand, television was a safer space for Belisario than his movie-making experience. Last Rites bombed. Movie critic Roger Ebert gave it 0 stars, called it the worst movie of 1988, and said it was both bad filmmaking and offensive as well. Offensive to his intelligence. As fate would have it, NBC wanted to talk to Belisario about making a new show. See, in 1988, NBC was in the middle of an incredible renaissance of television programming. When Brandon Tartikoff became NBC President of Entertainment in 1981, they were in last place in the ratings out of the 3 major networks, NBC, CBS, and ABC. Shows like Cheers, St. Elsewhere, Hill Street Blues, Glenn Larson's Knight Rider, and Stephen J. Cannell's The A-Team established a new identity for the network through 1983. NBC moved into second place in 1984 with The Cosby Show, Hunter, Miami Vice, and Highway to Heaven. They made it to first place in 1986 after adding shows like The Golden Girls, 227, Matlock, and Alf. Those are 2 different shows. Can you imagine? By 1988, nearly all of those shows were canceled or on their way to be. Belisario met with NBC executives Brandon Tartikoff, Warren Littlefield, and Perry Simon. After they pitched him a few possible series concepts, Belisario countered with one of his own he'd been kicking around for about a decade. Back when he was a writer on Battlestar Galactica in 1979, Belisario imagined a different kind of time travel, one where the traveler could utilize the power of their mind to move through their own timeline and/or inhabit the body of another person. At the same time, he wondered if it would be possible to do an anthology series on one of the major networks. That is, a series that doesn't rely on a consistent time, place, setting, or characters, with episodes that may or may not be connected in any narrative way. The Twilight Zone was a hit for CBS with 156 episodes over 5 seasons from 1959 to 1964. The Outer Limits did 49 episodes on ABC over 2 seasons from 1963 to 1965. Alfred Hitchcock Presents put up 361 episodes as it bounced back and forth between CBS and NBC between 1955 and 1965. But that was in the 60s. Networks didn't make shows like that anymore. In fact, it was openly frowned upon. Belisario thought that was reason enough to try it. As he put it, quote, "My initial thought was, wouldn't it be nice to do something that is a 4-letter word to networks and studios?" By 4-letter word, I assume he means cool or good, maybe nice, because the things I generally think of as insults are more than 4 letters, like f you and e are 7 each, is 10 and is 11. Anthologies made it hard for the viewer to connect with a series where the characters changed every week, and therein was the problem that Belisario needed to solve. How do you make an anthology with characters that can come back week after week? Belisario let both ideas simmer in the back of his mind as he continued to write, produce, and direct through the 1980s. It wasn't until he read the 1988 book Coming of Age in the Milky Way by Timothy Ferris that everything fell into place. Ferris's book goes into great detail about the progress of science through the entirety of humanity's existence on Earth. It delves deep into the myths and misconceptions of important scientists and their motivations for their work. Most importantly, it offered Belisario a new perspective on his concept of time travel. Belisario woke up in the middle of the night with his own eureka moment. Time travel itself solved the anthology problem. Time travel would allow him to develop a small group of consistent characters that the audience could get invested in. Furthermore, his thought-based time travel would limit stories to a period of time no more than the age of the main character. Belisario hated time travel shows that had the characters bouncing all over the ancient past, popping up in a Phoenician sailing ship one week and in Napoleon's army the next. He found it to be very unreal. Quantum Leap would be different. Costumes and settings that were recognizable and familiar, situations that were relatable. Ultimately, time travel was just a hook to allow the creators to tell stories that explored the human condition every week. As he pitched Quantum Leap to NBC, Bellisario said, quote, "I told them that the central character would not be able to leap beyond his own lifetime. I further told them, since the show's theory was that the universe was finite and that matter could not be added to or subtracted from a given period, that any era Sam leaps into, he would have to bounce somebody out and take their place. Then I told them I wouldn't materialize Sam in the middle of a major historical event each week, and that Sam's brain would be Swiss cheesed every episode, so he couldn't remember what was happening. I threw in Al the hologram to go along as a sidekick, and bingo, I had the series." The NBC executives didn't get it. In fact, according to Bellisario, it scared them. But it didn't matter because, to his credit, NBC President of Entertainment Brandon Tartikoff wanted to try some different programming. As a very hands-on producer, Bellisario was involved in the auditions for the cast. Sam Beckett was played by Scott Bakula. Despite performing on Broadway and starring in roles in multiple television series, Bakula was still relatively unknown in 1989. He starred in all 9 episodes of the TV series spin-off of the 1986 feature film Gung Ho in the role Michael Keaton played in the film, then followed that up with a lawyer named Lutz in the single season of CBS's Eisenhower and Lutz in 1988. The role of cigar-smoking, womanizing Admiral Albert Al Calavici went to seasoned veteran actor Dean Stockwell. The opposite of an unknown, Stockwell was coming off a Best Supporting Actor Oscar-nominated performance as Tony the Tiger Russo in 1988's Married to the Mob. Music for Quantum Leap was composed by Mike Post, who won his first Grammy when he was 23 years old, then went on to produce records for Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, and also composed themes for The Rockford Files, Greatest American Hero, The A-Team, Hill Street Blues, LA Law, and Magnum P.I., and more.
What if you woke up in a different place, a different time, to a different life?
Oh, boy.
What if you looked in the mirror and it wasn't you?
I'd like to wake up now.
What if you were Dr. Sam Beckett?
You're part of a time travel experiment that went a little caca.
He's stuck in the past living lives that aren't his.
I'm in a real identity crisis here.
And to get back home, he's got to help the people he meets and correct some mistakes of his own.
Dad, please don't hang up.
A world premiere movie, Quantum Leap, tonight.
The 2-hour pilot episode, written by Bellisario, aired on NBC on Sunday, March 26, 1989, from 9 to 11 p.m. Critics were mixed, with Linda Seaver saying, quote, "It's hard to get a handle on Quantum Leap. One minute it's Back to the Future, the next it's a cross between Here Comes Mr. Jordan and Highway to Heaven. Guess NBC decided it would find a way to keep around Michael Landon's sappy, albeit canceled, premise for a series, so what if the viewers hated it?" On the other hand, Mark DeWidziak said, quote, "If you don't scrutinize the premise or ask many questions, you might have a good time. Put your mind on hold, accept Quantum Leap for what it is, a bubblegum sci-fi romp with appealing stars and little violence." Regardless of the critical reviews, NBC picked up a full season of Quantum Leap and slotted it in on Friday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. for 1 month. Then moved it to Wednesday nights from 10 to 11, where it settled and began to gain momentum in the ratings through the end of season 2 in May of 1990. In the summer of 1990, to show how much NBC believed in the series, they reran episodes of Quantum Leap 5 nights a week during a special programming event called Quantum Leap Week. In retrospect, perhaps they were just trying to figure out which night viewers preferred to see it broadcast. Because season 3 saw Quantum Leap back to Friday nights in the 8 to 9 p.m. slot through January of 1991, a slot frequently known as the Friday Night Death Slot. Up against ABC's Full House and Family Matters, Quantum Leap was suddenly on life support. But Bellisario and diehard fans known as Leapers weren't willing to go down without a fight. They recognized that it was a programming issue and rallied to conduct a massive letter-writing campaign to convince NBC to move it back to Wednesday nights, where it had been thriving. Furthermore, Bellisario refused to sell NBC any shows that he was developing as long as they endangered Quantum Leap. After receiving what Warren Littlefield claimed was about 7 billion letters, the series was successfully moved back to Wednesdays from 10 to 11 through the end of season 3.
Recently, I've received a few letters from fans of Quantum Leap demanding I move it back to its original Wednesday night time slot. Listen, I run this network. You know what I have to say to the fans of Quantum Leap? You win.
Quantum Leap on NBC Wednesday.
NBC followed it with another Quantum Leap week during the summer of 1991 and maintained its place in the schedule through the end of season 4. When season 5 began, it was on a brand new night, Tuesdays from 8 to 9 p.m. until the final episode aired on Wednesday, May 4th, 1993 from 9 to 10 p.m. As ratings declined over the last 2 seasons, Belisario began to lighten up on self-imposed rules in order to expand the appeal of the series for casual viewers. Sam was seen leaping into famous people like Elvis Presley and Dr. Ruth Westheimer. He even let Sam leap back past his own birth date. In the third to last episode of the series, Sam finds himself in the body of his great-grandfather, John Beckett, during the Civil War in 1885. The idea being that his leap trajectory followed Sam's DNA instead of his own life. But the ratings continued to decline. As bad as Friday was for Quantum Leap, Tuesday was even worse. Up against CBS's Rescue 911 and ABC's Full House, Quantum Leap was once again on life support. Fans once again cranked up the letter-writing campaign, once again blaming the move-off Wednesday nights. But NBC felt like Quantum Leap needed to get younger to appeal to kids, perhaps with a teenage sidekick and leaps into the future where things are totally awesome and not at all whack.
It's radical!
Belisario had no interest in that approach and instead agreed to write a finale that had room to go to a 6th season if NBC decided to renew after all. While the episode answered many questions and brought closure to many series-long plot lines, it also left viewers asking many more questions about what happened now and in the future. For example, the Season 2 finale set up the idea that the Quantum Leap project prevented Sam from changing his or Al's past or future in any way, a rule that was put to the test when Sam found himself in the body of an undercover cop who could potentially prevent Al's wife Beth from remarrying because she thought Al died in Vietnam. Sam and Al eventually conclude that Sam cannot interfere in Al's past and that he is there to instead give Al one last chance to walk through his house to see his wife Beth and potentially find a sense of closure. After Al is able to spend a few minutes with her unbeknownst to her, Sam then makes his next leap. 3 years later, during the series finale, Sam leaps into his own body and finds himself at a bar where the bartender looks familiar, speaks cryptically, and suggests that it is Sam who has been controlling his leaps since the beginning, and that if Sam actually wanted to, he could go home anytime. Sam uses this newfound knowledge to give himself a second chance to put things right, to make the world a better place for his friend Al. He leaps back to that same house from the Season 2 finale where he had a chance to save Al's marriage, but chose not to. This time, as himself, he explains to Beth that Al is alive and he's coming home. An old portrait of Al from before Vietnam flashes with blue light indicating a quantum leap, and the screen fades to black. A title card states that Beth never remarried. A second title card states that she and Al have 4 daughters and will celebrate their 39th wedding anniversary in June. And a third says Dr. Sam Beckett never returned home. Fans didn't love that ending and wondered if perhaps other endings had been considered and maybe written and shot, with the title cards being added at the end only after NBC officially decided not to renew the series. As it turned out, they were right. A few years after the finale aired, a script did indeed surface on the very early internet. The script had a very different ending, which suggested that Al himself was going to become a leaper in order to find Sam in the time stream and bring him home. Belisario insisted that no such script existed and had no explanation for the script that was online. Fans were once again left to speculate until 2018 when Quantum Leap fan and YouTuber Allison Pregler purchased some negatives on eBay that featured images from Season 5. The images clearly show a moment that was never featured in an episode, that fits the description of the scene between Al and his wife Beth in the online script. If the photos existed, it was possible that the script was legit and, more so, may have been shot. A year later, in 2019, some lost footage was found and uploaded to Reddit. Scott Bakula himself confirmed that multiple endings were shot and the footage, and thereby the script posted online years before, were real. In this version, Al does indeed imply that he is going to find Sam and could have potentially led into a 6th season fronted by Al looking for Sam throughout time. But history shows that NBC canceled Quantum Leap at the end of Season 5, and Season 6 never happened. That said, there were other sources to cure your quantum mania. Books about the production of the series, including Making of and A to Z, nearly 24 novels, and a comic book series by Innovation Publishing that ran 13 issues from September of 1991 through August of 1993. In 2002, the Sci-Fi Channel announced that they were going to develop a 2-hour movie based on Quantum Leap with Belisario acting as executive producer. Writer Trey Calloway was a longtime fan of the series and considered it to be his dream project. Ideally, it would have seen the return of Scott Bakula as Sam Beckett, handing off the role of Leaper to the next generation, specifically Sam's daughter Sammy Jo, supported by Dean Stockwell returning as Al. While they intended for the film to serve as a pilot for the possible series, neither the film nor the series ever happened. In 2010, Scott Bakula confirmed that Belisario was writing a script for a Quantum Leap movie. 7 years later, in 2017, Belisario confirmed that the script was done. we live here in the future and know that the movie also never happened. In 2020, NBC announced that they were considering a Quantum Leap series for their soon-to-launch streaming service, Peacock. 2 years later, they made a series happen, but without Dean Stockwell or Scott Bakula. Stockwell suffered and recovered from a stroke in 2015, at which time he retired from acting. He passed away in November of 2021 at the age of 85. Bakula was asked to take part in the new series, but politely declined. In 2022, he explained why in a post on Instagram, quote, "As the show has always been near and dear to my heart, it was a very difficult decision to pass on the project, a decision that has upset and confused so many fans of the original series. However, the idea of anyone leaping around in time and walking a mile in someone else's shoes remains a very appealing concept and so worthy of exploration, especially given the current state of mankind." The new series, set 30 years after the original series, was a continuation, not a reboot. Belisario executive produced. Raymond Lee starred as Dr. Ben Song, the lead physicist and featured leaper. Caitlin Bassett was the observer, Addison. And everyone's favorite Ghostbuster, Ernie Hudson, joined the cast as Herbert Magic Williams, the head of the Quantum Leap Revival Project, and a character whom Sam Beckett leapt into in the original series. Susan Dial returned as Al's wife Beth from the original series. Instead of hiding the series on Peacock as they originally intended, the new Quantum Leap aired Monday nights on NBC from September 19th, 2022 through February 20th, 2024. 31 episodes over 2 seasons before NBC once again canceled it, leaving fans to assume that unless Sam Beckett found a way to stop aging, they were unlikely to ever see him again. Quantum Leap transcended time and television, connecting with fans across 4 decades, telling the kind of stories and creating the kinds of characters that Belisario dreamed about decades before. It connected with fans that refused to accept that the linear passage of time could diminish their love of the characters and the world he created, and their hope that one day they would get a second chance to make things right that once went wrong and find a way back to Quantum Leap. When it gets hot and sweaty, that's when the brain goes. Thanks for watching. Please hit like, hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Thank you very much to those of you who already are. Please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/toygalaxy. Several different tiers to address your specific Secret Galaxy content needs. Check out the Secret Galaxy merch shop at secretgalaxy.shop. All merchandise is physically in stock and ready to ship. I can feel the beads of sweat going down my shirt. Links to all of this in the description below, and let us know in the comments down below if you were a leaper. I definitely watched Quantum Leap, but I definitely didn't watch all of it. I remember seeing a lot of episodes, then slowly fading out of it, probably because of the constant time slot changes. I came back for the finale and had absolutely no idea what was going on. Until this week, in fact. Now, I think I finally understand it, but I gotta say, to me, not the best way to tell a story if it takes 30 years to put the pieces together. And I want to be clear, that's an indictment of Quantum Leap as a show, not of me as a dummy, which I am not.
Counterpoint. Cut.